I just want to say hi, Nicole. Hi, Mary.
Hi.
Hi.
Mary, well, no,
Hi.
right now.
I'm here.
Hi.
Hello, now on YouTube. Awesome. Give me a second. Okay.
I can see it on YouTube.
Okay. Now I'm starting the webinar. So good luck to everyone. Start.
Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. And thank you for joining us for this webinar. We're very happy to be here. Until we start, feel free to put in the chat wherever you're from, and we will list it. We will notice. We're very excited to be here. My name is Mickey from Photomine. I'll introduce the people here with me in a second. We'll give about 1 or 2 minutes to people to attend. I see a lot of people joining us. So definitely we'll give it 1 more second and then we'll start the webinar. I see a lot of people coming. Wow, we have a lot of people from all over, Tulsa, from Calgary, from Maryland. Nicole, you can help me with that. Virginia.
I'm on it.
Virginia.
Minneapolis, Philadelphia, Maryland, Cape Cod, Winnipeg, Virginia, Nevada, Wisconsin, Florida, Texas, Dublin, all over. California, Atlanta.
Okay. We have a lot of people joining us today, so we're very exciting. This is the first webinar out of 12 that we're going to have this year with the photo managers, so we're very excited for that. We'll give it another 30 seconds because I see we have the majority of the people here. If for some reason you need to go out of this webinar and you want to try to hook back again and you cannot succeed because we reach capacity, you can see this on YouTube. So if you go to the Photomine YouTube channel, we are broadcasting this live there. So definitely feel free to do that. So I guess we can start, right? Mary, Rhoda, Nicole, I have a green light. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to our first webinar out of 12 that I mentioned before. And I'm very excited to kick off this webinar. So this webinar, we named it Plan Before You Scan and Organize, then Digitize, as we believe that, it's a very emotional process, the scanning process and digitizing. So you have to plan before, and then you can start scanning. It will be much easier. My name is Mickey Atir, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Photomine. I'm thrilled to be here with you all today as we explore the best ways to organize your photos collections before diving into the digitizing process. I'm also excited to let you know that we are live streaming this webinar on YouTube. So as I mentioned before, if you need to go out from this webinar and you want to go back in and we reach capacity, so you can see this on YouTube and the recording will be on YouTube as well. You can forward the link of our YouTube to friends and colleagues and they can join us if they want. Plus, we'll be sending out a recording of today's session tomorrow in the post email webinar. So you can revisit all the great tips and strategies that we'll be covering. So let's start. So today we're honored to have Rhoda Gordon with us, a photo organizing expert from the Photo Managers and the owner of Dig Your Photos, a DIY print photo organization kit, amazing kit, I must say. This is an amazing opportunity to elevate your skills and become more professional in your scanning project. I'll let Rhoda elaborate on that in future, and I'm sure you'll find it very exciting. Rhoda will walk us through the essential steps of ensure that your scanning journey is smooth and successful. She'll share invaluable tips and strategies on how to pare down, sort, and prepare your photos, emphasizing why proper organization before start scanning is the key to efficient scanning. I'm also excited to announce, so now we're moving to Photomine, that Photomine is actually participating in the Gemini competition. If you're not aware about Gemini, so it's a big buzzword right now in the AI world. So it's the AI of Google, like ChatGPT. We've submitted a brand new feature. It's not live yet inside the Photomine app yet, but it will be if it will work. So this feature will automatically recognize the location where a photo was taken using the Gemini feature, making it easier to organize and tag your memories. So if you have the photos, you have no idea where it was taken, so the app will be able to help you using Gemini by recognizing the background of the photo and making an assumption where it was. It's a very cool feature. We're playing with it a lot here, and it's working, and it's amazing. And we're really excited about its potential, and we'd love your support. So it is a competition, and we'd like to be competitive. If you can vote for us, as you can see here, in the webpage, and give your support, that will be very appreciated by us. So before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone that you're welcome to ask questions at any time using the chat feature. So the chat feature works as following. So you can ask any question you want. The panelists and host will see these questions. And if we can answer it during the webinar, we will answer. If we feel that we need someone else to address it in live, in person, so we will keep it until the end, and then we will ask whoever it's concerned about. And our panelists will be keeping an eye on your queries and questions. I must say that if you write the questions, we are the only one who can see it, so no one else can see it, but we will send out some links and some tips, and the question that we will answer, it will be for you specifically. In more general updates, so we are working on new improvements of the app constantly, and I can't wait for that. And I guess you all know that we have an Amazon store that you can purchase online, that you can purchase accessories to help you to become more professional in your scanning process. So for that, we're offering an exclusive 30% off discount of our entire store. The code is very easy, is 30 webinar. We will send it out in the chat and also in the email. So be sure to take advantage of that. It's going to be available for this coming week. Lastly, don't forget to mark your calendars. So as I said before, this is the first webinar out of 12 that we're going to have this year. So every month on the first week of the month, and most of the month on Wednesdays, we'll continue to explore new and exciting ways to manage and preserve your photos and history. So that was me. I'm very happy to forward the floor to Rhoda. So without further ado, it's over to you, Rhoda.
Thanks. Thanks so much. I am so excited to be here. Thank you for that nice introduction, Mickey. And I just want to give a shout out to both PhotoMine and the photo managers for providing this monthly for the next year opportunity for everyone to learn and to become better at just handling their own photos and enjoying them. So I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys joining today, because it really means that you are really interested in your photos and saving your story, and that's something that's really near and dear to my heart. I'm just going to start sharing so we can get started. So here we go. Today, we'll be discussing what needs to be done before you scan. In this talk, plan before you scan, organize, then digitize. As Mickey said, I'm Rhoda Gordon. I own Sunflower Photo Solutions, and I'm also the creator of Dig Your Photos, a DIY print photo organizing kit. And I'm passionate about helping people and businesses save their stories by working with them to pare down, organize, and back up their media collection, both print and digital. And then additionally, I provide ways for them to share their media with projects and products. And it's all about really sharing your story and saving your legacy for the next generation. I'm also a speaker, and I have a YouTube channel that has plenty of tips and tricks for both print and digital photos, and that's at Dig Your Photos. And an avid traveler, and of course, I consider myself an inventor because I am the creator of Dig Your Photos. So the agenda for today is we're going to talk about the whys. Why scan? Why organize before you scan? Maybe we'll just talk a little bit about what's preventing you from actually organizing your print photos. There's usually something, it's always on the list, but we don't always get to it. And then we'll go through the steps on how to organize and what tools you can use. And of course, I will sprinkle in all sorts of things about Dig Your Photos in here. And if you wait around to the end, there's an amazing handout that you can go and get just on scanning tips, as well as there might be a discount on Dig Your Photos towards the end. And again, please put all questions in the chat. I do have some questions that were submitted ahead of time. I'm going to try and address as I go through the talk. And I do want to just say, I didn't tell you where I'm from, but I'm from Bluffton, South Carolina. And I did see that there were a few people from South Carolina there. So if you're anywhere near Savannah, Charleston, Hilton Head, or Bluffton, you're in my zone. Okay, so let's just talk about photos themselves. They are a vivid reminder of where we've been, our shared experiences with other people, and of times long ago. And who doesn't like to take photos? I mean, we take them, we look at them, we cherish them, and sometimes we take too many or we save too many. And having so many boxes and bags and albums of photos can often be overwhelming and stressful, especially if they're not stored properly. And we kind of know that in the back of our heads that maybe they're fading because of heat and humidity, or even, at risk for other damage. And perhaps you are contemplating a move. It can be very stressful just planning a move alone, but then having to move all your stuff that's not organized and you're not really sure where it is can be very, very stressful. But you took the first step. You're here. We're going to learn the steps to organize together, and you're going to feel truly empowered by the end of this talk. So let's first talk about why scan. Why digitize to begin with? Well, first, it creates a backup. And remember, you have a print collection and you may have duplicates in it, but I doubt that every picture is a duplicate. So it's really your only one copy, and it's a physical copy. So it's at risk to the environment, just even a natural wear and tear. And of course, the physical damage if there's some sort of natural disaster like a hurricane or a flood or fire, or even just a pipe that breaks in your house, depending on where your photos are stored. So by digitizing, you create a backup, which is amazing. Also, it allows restoration. Even any simple scanning company or scan yourself app with like PhotoMine allows you to do simple color correction and even further restoration. And so digitizing just sets you up for success that way. And then, of course, there's the accessibility. Depending on what type of apps you use to store your digitized photos, you can have accessibility on multiple computers, on your phone, and that gives you the ability to share and view your photos anytime you want. Also, digitizing allows you to even further share by texting or emailing, as well as creating beautiful projects with it, like a photo book or a slideshow. So really, I fully suggest that you scan your photos and put it on your list of things to do. I'm just going to take 1 minute to talk about the first question. What's stopping you from organizing your print photos? And I've found in working with clients, it's usually one of these three things. There is the emotional side, right? The emotional aspect where people, when they talk to me, even in a consultation, they're not even my client yet, they bring up the word guilt because it's always on the list of things to do, but it kind of always gets moved to the bottom. And so there's this overarching feeling of guilt and stress associated with trying to attack our photo collection. And then there's the physical aspect, not sure where everything is. Maybe you don't have time, life gets in the way. And then the knowledge aspect. We just truly don't know where to start. And then we worry once we do start that maybe we'll get stuck and then we end up leaving it and we've created, or we feel like we've created a bigger mess. Because sometimes when you organize something, you have to bring it out into the light and it feels a little messy at first, but don't worry, we're going to get through that. So I just wanted to say this, having an organized, clean photo collection sets you up for successful scanning. Okay. And I just want to say one more thing here before we dive in is that I know that we're all kind of bombarded with advertisements these days, and it's going to get worse as we get closer to the holidays, that the solution to your messy photos is to throw it in a box and send it to some sort of big box scanning company. And it really feels good to do that, right? Like we are giving our problem to somebody else and they're going to deal with it for a little while and then they're going to send it back all scanned. But if you give a scanning company your messy photos just to scan, you are going to be creating more than double your chaos of your photos. You're going to be getting back what I call digital spaghetti because the scanning company doesn't know what you want to name these photos. They're not in any order. And so they're just going to name it with a file name with an index after it, like IMG underscore 0079 and so on. And that's okay if you only have a few photos. You can open up the photo, maybe rename it, know what it is. But if you throw everything in the box, you've got 1,000 or more photos. And now you're going to get back 1,000 or more files that you have no idea, heads or tails, what's inside them until you open them up. So by organizing first before you scan, and it really just sets you up for success and it will save you time and money in the end. Because in addition, if you throw things in the box, you're probably throwing things in that you don't need to scan, such as blurry photos, duplicates, scenery with no people in it. So having this organized, clean photo collection is your first step. And then you'll have successful scanning. So before you begin organizing your photos, think about what your goal is. Like what brought you to scanning? Maybe you have a specific project in mind, like your daughter's getting married or your son's graduating from high school and you want to create something. So you want to scan the photos in so you can begin creating. Or maybe you have a deadline, like you're moving and you have to organize your whole collection. Or maybe you're just now in the frame of mind that you're ready to tackle your entire print media collection. And that's great. But decide what your goal is, because based on your goal, you'll be doing different things as we move through the next few steps, which is organizing your photos. So let's say you're creating a slideshow for your daughter for her wedding day. You're going to be looking more into the albums and the frames because you've already decided, because you made a project with it, that those are the best of the best photos of your daughter or of your daughter and yourself and the rest of your family. If you're doing an entire collection, well, we'll get to that next. So think about your goal. So the first step in organizing your photos is to get them in one place. And I always say, set up a designated area that you can probably leave out for a little while. So I wouldn't suggest your kitchen counter or your kitchen table if you eat there every night. But maybe your dining room table if you don't use it on a daily basis. I had one client who was using Dig Your Photos, and she sent me a little email, and she had set her designated area in her guest room on a twin bed. She put like a tablecloth down, and that's where she had brought all her photos to. So you can get creative on your spaces, but put it in one area that you can leave for a little bit, so you don't feel like you have to do it all in one sitting. And if you're doing a full organizing of your entire collection, then you're going to go room to room like a scavenger hunt and look under the bed and in the drawers and in the obvious places on bookshelves for all your photos, whether they're in boxes or bags. And don't forget the frames and the albums. Because if you're scanning your photos and you're organizing them, you've already decided, as I mentioned before, if they're in a frame or they're in an album, then they're one of the better photos, or at least in an album, they're telling a story already, right? Because they're a collection. We've created a curated collection in an album. So we want to include them when we scan and organize. And the other thing about frames is, don't be surprised if you open up that frame and there's pictures behind it, because that was a thing that people did for many years. You open up an old frame that's just laying on the side of a room that's not being used anymore or hung anymore, and there's like 5 or 6 pictures behind it. So you'll be surprised what you'll see. And when you're gathering, you also are taking the photos out of the album, and I know this was one of the questions. So you may need tools to use when you take the photos out of the albums, and they may be delicate. So I would say when you're handling older photos or even any photos, use cotton gloves. It protects the photos from getting the oil from your hands or any other debris that's on your hands. And also, if you have trouble getting the photos out of the album, you can use a little palette knife and just put it under one corner and see if you can get the photo that way. And don't forget, if there's glue or residue on the back of a photo, we don't want to stack it until we get the glue or the residue off. Otherwise, it will damage the photo that's beneath it. And I always use a gum eraser. And all the things I'm mentioning actually are included in the toolkit in Dig Your Photos, and we'll go over that in a little bit as well. So once you've gathered everything, and again, let me just say, if your goal is not the full organizing, but a specific project, then look for those photos in that way, okay? Just for your project. Okay, the next step is quick sort. And this is just a decision-making process, beat the clock type of a thing, where we take a stack of photos, right, from our pile of gathered photos, and we have a clear area that we can use, and we start sorting based on sorting rules. And I use the connotations gold, silver, bronze, and trash. I know that photo managers use the ABCs. They're very similar. Gold is the best of the best photos. They mean something to you and you want access to them more frequently than the other photos, and maybe you're going to use them in a project. The silver photos are photos that are meaningful for, to you or for your story, but you don't really need to access them on a weekly or monthly or maybe even a yearly basis, but you need to save those photos. The bronze photos have a story associated with them, but they may not be the best photos. But you want to keep track of that story, especially, as you pass down from one generation to another. And then there's the trash, which is everything else. The duplicates, the blurries, the scenery, and any photos that don't have people in it. You don't really need it. Maybe you have photos from when your children were young and they said you went to the zoo and they wanted you to take a picture of every animal in the zoo. You don't really need those photos anymore. You can look up those animals now. So you can put them in the trash. And I would say that your silver and your trash pile are probably the largest piles. And I will say it's okay to trash. The quick decision making, I would say, look at the photo for 1 or 2 seconds and then use your instinct on what pile it should go in. Don't overthink it. And then if you want to make it really easy for yourself to start with, do albums first, because as I said, you've already decided those are important photos to you and they should be curated if you created an album with a specific purpose. And so they all belong together anyway. But I do find when people do create albums, and I'm going through it with my clients, that sometimes there are pictures that are very redundant and you can keep the best and trash the rest if you're comfortable with it. The next step is creating a family timeline. Now, I have to say that a timeline is probably one of the best tools that you can create to support your organizing. And you're going to use this family timeline in the next step. But literally how I go about it, and also in Dig Your Photos, I create a spreadsheet that has the years of what my photo collection consists of. So I kind of can figure out what I'm working on and the years that it spans. And then all the important dates. So I have, you can see a sample up here. I do the births, the weddings. I also include important events or important vacations or religious events if they happened, going down and the year. And then graduations. And what you can't see is I always include housing arrangements, like where you lived, and pets, because they are powerful reminders if we can see them in the background for dating. And then I always create, and with my clients, I do this as well, and the support is in Dig Your Photos, a physical timeline that's like 5 feet long, where you create time as a horizontal line across the middle of it, and then you have lines going in measured spaces for decades, and then you go to your spreadsheet and you put in all the important events in between those decades. And you can decorate it. I always suggest this is a fun activity if you're getting the kids involved, or there's an artist in the family, they can decorate the timeline. This is just an example of one of my clients' timelines, but they can decorate the timeline and it can become a family activity. So the last step is really just to categorize your photos. And most people, I would say 85 to 90% of people will categorize their photos by date, which is why the timeline is really effective tool. But it's okay if you want to do it by decades, right? You don't have to go down to the specific date if you don't know. Or if you have a very large collection, you can break it down into, let's say it's your collection, you could break it down into your childhood, your teen years, maybe early marriage, raising kids, and then your grandkids. So do what feels comfortable to you and what makes sense to you on how you want to save your story. You don't overthink it. And then there's always, there's some families that they only really took pictures at events. And that's how they really documented the story of their lives. And you can certainly instead categorize that way. If you want to categorize by holidays and vacations and family reunions, that's totally fine too. It's really up to you and how your family has taken pictures over the years. But I think most of us will begin to categorize. And you can see an example of somebody using the timeline to categorize their photos. Another tip is to have available to you an archival safe pen or pencil, because you might want to jot something down on the back of the photo, and you want to make sure it's safe for the photo itself. But it's always good to keep track of the data that you remember when you pick up a photo, and it will bring back memories. Honestly, the whole tactile experience, I just love it. And then when you're done categorizing on your timeline, you use index cards to separate by the year or the decade or however you decided to categorize the photos that belong there. And then you can store it in a temporary storage box, like, Dig Your Photos becomes one, but you can do it in a shoebox or a photo storage box. And what I didn't mention is I really feel like you should do the gold first and keep that separate. So you categorize that. And then once you're done with the gold, you start with the silver so that you keep track of the best, even if they have the same dates on them, it's okay. Because you may want to just start with scanning only on the gold, or the gold is for your projects. So you should kind of separate them. And then once they're digitized, you can put them together. So here are my tips, really, as you go through this organizing process, is to start small. So maybe just do one room at a time. I'm going to attack, whatever, wherever you keep your photos. I'm going to attack the family room and just go through all the boxes and albums that I have on the bookshelf. Or start in your bedroom and you just go through the drawers and you find all the photos and the frames. But that allows you to really learn the process, get confident, and have fun with it, because it should be fun. And then set a time limit. You don't want to go until you're fatigued. So maybe the first time you start sorting, say, I'm only going to do this for 45 minutes, or I'm only going to create the timeline, or I'm only going to fill out the spreadsheet. And so set a timeline so that you really are eager to go back the next time you start doing it again. And it's okay to reminisce. Totally okay to reminisce. It's okay to, use PhotoMine to scan the photos and immediately send the photo to your friends and family, so you can start a text or a chat on how amazing the times were, or the funny time that dad did this, or whatever. It's okay to reminisce. Please share your photos. That's what it's all about, right? Bringing people together and bonding over a shared memory. And I always encourage people to make it a family activity. It doesn't have to be a solo activity. It should be a family activity, and it should really just be a joyful event to look through the photos and organize them. I mean, it should be fun. So I just want to take a break, and that's how to organize your photos. I wanted to introduce Dig Your Photos. I honestly thought about it for so long, and it started as an idea of how to help my clients who were throwing their photos into a box because they didn't know where to turn to organize their photos. And while books had existed, and they're great, and courses exist, there was not one full service kit, I call it, that would help them organize their own print photos. So Dig Your Photos was born. And I really just don't want you to let your memories fade away. So I'm going to stop sharing for a minute so I can just show you Dig Your Photos in person. Stop sharing. Hi. So it's backwards, but this is Dig Your Photos. It comes in a box. You open the box and you can physically see everything. You get, it says start here, so it's very clear on where you can start. And it also says you got this. And then in here, it has the contents and how to set up your area, which we already talked about. And then you can see there's a toolkit. I call these recipe cards, but they're literally walk you through the 4 steps. And then a family timeline template with the resources, more resources with the spreadsheets online. And these recipe cards, let's put this down for 2 seconds. The recipe cards come with a belly band. And I'll just hold up one. There's 4 of them. They're very thick because the whole idea of Dig Your Photos is it should be used over and over again. Almost, I won't say like a game, but it's kind of gamified. So if you only want to do 1 box at a time or 1 room at a time, it's okay. You can do that. So these are very thick cards, like a board game card. And each one has a QR code where you use your camera and it brings up a video of me demonstrating. So if you are unclear, you can watch a 5-minute or less video of me demonstrating. The front tells you why you're doing this activity, and the back tells you how to do it. And there are 4 steps, so 4 cards. And then for the second card, which is the quick sort, you get these cards, and on it tells you exactly what to put on each pile. Also included is the handy dandy toolkit that has all the tools that our certified photo manager would use. Hold it up. It has cotton gloves in it. It has a palette knife for those sticky photos you can't get out. Glue eraser for the glue residue. This is my favorite tool. I use it almost daily when I'm organizing photos. It's a magnifying glass so that you can look into the background of pictures to really help identify things. And yes, I've counted birthday candles. I've read signs in the background to help me. Also included is the photo safe, archival safe pencil and index cards. And you get the timeline template, access online, as I said, to resources. And then the insert comes out and you can stack your photos in here. It will hold 1,275 photos for you, all organized and ready for your scanning. So if you're interested in understanding Dig Your Photos, you can go online to digyourphotos.com. And when you do purchase it, you also get access to quarterly user group meetings where we all meet and I give you some tips, and then people can come on and ask questions about anything that they want with their print photos. I am going to now share again. Get it to it? Okay. And finish the talk so we can get to some questions. So this is just, again, Dig Your Photos. It has everything a novice needs to successfully and easily organize their own photos. Here are some quotes from some people who have used it. The game changer for print photo chaos. Easily organize your photos in no time, and it's fun. And that's really what it's all about. Like I want here. That's why I had this picture in the beginning, which I didn't talk about. I want it to be fun and joyful to go through your pictures. It should not be a chore. So let's make it fun. And now, regardless of whether you use Dig Your Photos or anything, if your photos are organized, these are the benefits you can expect. You can have peace of mind that your collection is pared down and safe in one place, and that you can easily find the photos you need to share. And that's leads us into the easy access and retrieval. And then enhanced preservation. You're all set up to save your story for future generations by scanning and also having the box physically there by creating projects. So what do you do next after your photos are organized? You put in, I would recommend putting in archival safe storage. There's some great companies out there, but if you're going on the internet or somewhere like Amazon, and just make sure that they're archival safe, the storage for photo storage. I use archival methods, but there are some other companies out there that also are good. Definitely Digitize, that's where you're here, you're going to be scanning, and there's many different ways, and Photomine is a great app to do it as well. And I'm sure you're familiar with it, or if you're not, you have access now to be familiar with it. And then photos are meant to be shared, whether they're print or digital. Share them, create a project, a photo book, or just send them to your friends. I like to always, when it's one of my friends' birthdays, either print out a photo of me and them and send them a card, put it on a blank card and send it to them as the front of the card, or create a little slideshow or video and with an app of photos that I'm in with them, and then send it to them as a little reminder of how much they mean to me on their birthday. So I really want to thank you for being here. I want to totally thank Photomine and the photo managers for setting this up and allowing me to be the first of the 12 talks. I hope you learned something. I'm available if you have any questions. We're going to go over them now, but you can always send me an email. I am offering, since you're here, a discount code for Dig Your Photos, and that's capital, all caps, photo 20. It's valid until the end of September. You get $20 off of the price of Dig Your Photos. And then here's my websites, sunflowerphotosolution.com, digyourphotos.com. Here's my email, rhoda@sunflowerphotosolutions.com. And my YouTube channel, as I mentioned, is at Dig Your Photos. And I do have a scanning download if you're interested in learning more, just having some scanning tips. One of them, which I don't think I mentioned, is keep those photos clean before you scan. And it should be a link right there that you can click on. But if not, I can put it in the chat.
Thank you so much, Rhoda. That was amazing. I must say that I really connected to what you said about the timeline feature, which organized the photos for a timeline. This is a project that I'm trying to do for my family. And I think each photo tells a story, and this story with a timeline, with a date, can really help people to start to organize the story of the family accordingly. So I'll take this from here. And we'll definitely try to get people to help me to recognize the date and the timeline and start to build my family timeline. So we got a lot of questions. So I'll hand it to Mary to try to organize it. So Rhoda, we send you all the questions to your chat. So every time you see a direct response from me or Mary, so you can see the questions that are related to you. Regarding questions about Photomine, so I think the best way, so we're not going to dig into how to digitize with Photomine. So that's another webinar that we'll definitely do, and we'll market it. But you can see all the FAQ questions and tutorials on our YouTube channels. And also our support is very, very, very responsive. So you can definitely email them and they can send you all the FAQs and everything. So definitely for that. So I guess, Rhoda, if you can see some of the questions
Yes.
on your chat, you can definitely read them out again. And Mary, before we start with the Q&A, you want to say something about the photo managers or maybe the Save Your Photo Months?
Sure, definitely. Yes, definitely. Rhoda, like she said, she's a professional photo manager, and we are the resource for people who want to organize their photos and share their stories. So we basically help people like you turn their love for photos into a business, or you organize them for personal use. And we have a couple really great memberships through our organization that you can check out. And we also have an entire month dedicated to expert-led webinars to learn how to organize and protect your photos, create photo books, and basically hear success stories from professionals like Rhoda. And you can register on our website. It's called Save Your Photos Month. And so I can go ahead and add that information in the chat for you guys.
Awesome. Yeah, so Rhoda, if you can like repeat some of the questions that you got, that you think are
Sure.
relevant to answer live.
Okay. All right, let me see. Oh, I think it already passed. Hold on, Mary. There we go. Okay. So there was a question on, let me just make sure is that the first one? I think it is. There's a question on throwing out photos. Do you shred, burn, or what?
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, so it really depends on the person themselves. You can burn them if you do. It all depends on how much privacy you want with your own photos, right? Are you afraid somebody's gonna, your reasoning, are you afraid somebody's gonna go through it and find some personal data? Or do you know, I think that everyone should really protect their privacy. So you can burn them in a well-ventilated area. I wouldn't do it inside the house. I would do it outside. There's chemicals on photos, and but that is one option. Maybe if you have a fire pit and that's what you want to do, you certainly can shred them. You can even, instead of shredding them, you can put them in a blender and it chops it up. You can cut them up if that's what you want to do. If you are not concerned about your privacy, and especially if you have like older photos, let's say, I ran across this actually with a client. He was a volunteer fireman, and they couldn't find, and the firehouse had been in existence for probably about 100 years, I think 85 years. It was their 85th anniversary. They couldn't find any photos of past 25 years ago. They couldn't find any photos. So if in fact you have photos that have historical significance, either donate it to, like, it would have been great if somebody had donated before they got rid of their photos, donated to that firehouse, or donate to a historical society if you have pictures of buildings or your town of what it used to look like. Even if there's somebody in it, there's ways to obscure that person if you have privacy issues. But I think that's an amazing thing that you can do to save a legacy of like a business. But yeah, if you, burning's okay if it's outside, you can shred it, you can cut it up, blender. And if you don't care, you can just throw it out in a garbage bag.
I will
You know?
also add that I saw a lot in a lot of flea markets. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who are selling actual photos that are not theirs, of course. So if you want to like donate to someone or to put it on eBay or anything that is that, so we are actually searching for sometimes for, you know, old photos in flea markets so we can use it in our marketing process. So yeah, so you can definitely find places, and even people, if the photos are amazing and beautiful, so people will be happy to actually buy them for you, from you.
I'm more. Do you want me to keep going?
Yes, of course. We
Okay.
have to.
All right. So all the ones posted. So, and the tip sheet I typed. Okay. So I have the ones that had questions. Sorting photos from albums and boxes. I think I addressed that. Definitely you should organize and pull out, I think, pull out your photos from your albums if you can, because they are fading, and you should organize them, but you should also scan them. If you cannot get your photos out of the album because they're stuck or they're glued down, or it is a scrapbook, the entire page can be scanned, not with PhotoMine or with a certified photo manager in other ways, and then the photo itself can be cropped. So there's, all is not lost if you can't get the photo out of the album. But people put photos in an album for a reason. So I really think that those are one of the more important photos to have.
Exactly. And in PhotoMine, you can actually crop like multiple photos at once. So
Yeah.
if you scan a photos of entire album, it's just 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 12 photos in a single album page. So the app will recognize each photo as individual and will extract it for you. So the scanning process is very, very fast. I saw a question is why not just to take a photo of a photo? So of course you can take a photo of a photo, but then you need to enter each photo and edit it and crop it and make sure that it's rotated. And PhotoMine, we integrated AI features to help you with that. So our main feature is the, like multiple cropping of photos, but we also enhance the colors, rotate if it's upside down, and then enhance, of course. And then we have also features of colorization, black and white into colors, and the Sharpie feature, which helps you to recognize faces, and then apply a layer that will make it more vivid. So yes, definitely. So if you have a lot of albums, so definitely PhotoMine is a solution for you, like to scan multiple photos.
Absolutely. I think that's a great feature and saves money, and it's 100% better than taking a photo of a photo. Okay, so organizing photos by categories, and they wrote sub albums, which maybe subcategories. Totally great. I mean, when I do it, organize photos chronologically, I'll have the overarching category will be, let's say, 1990, and then the years will be underneath. And then so when it's digitized, the top folder is 1990, and then there'll be folders underneath for one for 1991, one for 1992, one for 1993. If you know and have photos in those years, if you don't, it's okay just to do it by decade. And then you may just do it by vacations. I've digitized photos from several families that it was just vacation. So each vacation is the top folder, and then underneath it are all the files, and then the top folder is vacations. So there are different ways. Do you want to add anything, Mickey?
No,
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, handling large quantities and various formats, slides, prints, and digital. Yeah, so I'll say this first, which I'm not sure exactly, but I'm a huge proponent of having all your photos in one place, right? And so the way to do that, of course, because we're not going to print out all our digital photos, is to scan your photos and digitize them so that you can have your entire collection in one place and all together and accessible and able to be backed up. So your prints should be digitized to be with your digital photos. And then your slides, reel-to-reel film, VHS tapes, all that can also be digitized and included in that collection. And there's some amazing, really rich apps, as well as places where you can home all your digital media. Of course, this was one of the questions, so we can just talk about it right here in a minute, but you should be digitizing your movies, whether they're reel to reel or VHS actually is probably degrades faster than almost anything else. The way it's stored, the tape loosens and you lose sound quality and you lose tracking. So if you have VHS tapes, they're probably at least 20 years old now, you should be getting them digitized. If you're in the United States, you can, probably find somebody local. In Europe too, South Africa. I saw somebody was from South Africa. I know we have at least one or two photo managers there that can do it, but look for somebody who can digitize your reel-to-reel film and all your movies, including your VHS. Then the slides, there are many ways that you can digitize slides. The first thing I would say is to clean them. You can take a little brush and make sure there's no dust. You can use compressed air gently to get the dust off of them, but they do, because they have the sides around them, they do end up collecting dust, more dust than even photos, I feel like. But you want to make sure you have a clean slide, both sides. And I know PhotoMine has some accessories that you can use. Photo managers do too. Keep in mind, if you're doing it yourself, outside of PhotoMine, if you have something like, let's say you have a flatbed scanner you're going to be using, slides have to be scanned in at a much higher resolution than your average photo, way higher. It's going to take longer to do because it's getting all that data. Mickey, do you want to talk about your slides and the accessories?
Yes, of course. So in Photoman, you can actually scan slides and negatives. All you have to do is to require some kind of a backlight. So it could be your iPad or a light pad or anything that can project lights. So we can see the content of the slides or the negatives. And the app will do it one by one. It's not multiple like negative or slides, but it will be like one by one. It will crop the content from the slide. So there is like the white like labels like on the side. So it will take only the content. And as Rhoda said, so you need to get closer and make sure that you get, as close as possible with the backlight to do it in a dark room. So it will be more contrast of the colors, and then just snap it with PhotoMine. You can also, we have on our Amazon store a slide viewer, which enlarge the slide. So you put the slides in and just view it, and then you can take the phone and scan it, like enlarge it. So of course you can take a flatbed scanner and do it one by one. But if you want to do like a faster process, maybe in like slightly less resolution, so it could be done with PhotoMine, like with the slide viewer, but you can definitely try like without it. But make sure that you have a light source so it can project like what kill the slide out of it. There was a great question about the pen and pencil that you recommend.
Oh, okay. All right, I can do
Love this
that.
question.
Okay, it's okay. So I'll recommend, there's two good ones. There is a Stabilo pencil that you can find. I think you might be able to find it on Amazon. I get my archival safe pens and pencils from Archival Methods. So, but most photo managers use the Stabilo pencil. I also use sometimes this archival safe pencil. It's from Cretacolor, which they have a lot, but this is a monolith 6B. I put a cap on it because I just don't want it I want to protect the inside of the toolkit. But it's archival safe. I also get this from Archival Methods. So you can just do a search. So Stabilo is what most people use, and you can get them on Amazon, but you could also just do a search for archival safe pencils. Just make sure that they truly are certified archival safe. And that being said, I know people are like, well, maybe I'll just use a permanent marker or that. It's not great. Don't do that. Try and get an archival safe pencil. And you might be able to find that at the craft store too. Sometimes you can. I just want to go back to this question. This is a very good question. I'm digitizing negatives, some of which I'd already scanned the printed photo. The latter seems better. Is that usual? So here's the question. Sometimes we don't store our negatives properly, right? We take them out of what they were, and then they're just around. And negatives are really subject to dirt, dust, debris, as well as scratching and everything else. So if your photos were stored better than your negatives, you may get a better quality scan on the photos. And if that's easier to you, the way you are doing your scanning, 100% do the photo. You don't have to do the negative. If you have negatives that are stored properly, and you don't have, or you don't know if you have the actual photo that matches it, you can get a good scan out of it. You just have to scan it properly. You need the backlight, you need to scan it at the proper resolution, and then of course you have to invert it because it's a negative. So you have to invert the colors. So it is a process. There is a learning curve if you've never done it before, and you have to have the right tools.
We only have one or two more questions.
Oh,
so
okay.
whatever you pick. And we will send a recording of this webinar to everyone. And of course, that if you can share the slides, Rhoda, a lot of people ask that.
Oh, yeah.
We can put it.
You'll tell me how to share the slides with you.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, yeah, because I can download it. So I actually get this question a lot, and I have a personal opinion, so and other people don't. The question is, why keep photos once they're digitally preserved? So
Good
it's
question.
great to have a backup, but I feel like there's I don't have a photo here to even hold, but I just feel like there is something so tactile, like just holding the photo, having someone sit next to you, whether it's your mom or your sister or your family member, whatever, and looking at the photos together and being able to physically be near and have something physical in front of you. I don't like getting rid of photos that are meaningful. Listen, if they're trash, they're in your trash pile. That's fine. If they're your kids' stuff and they don't want it anymore, and it's all their friends, and they say they don't want it, fine. But for me, I save my photos, the physical ones, even after they're digitized. And that being said, unless you're backing up your digital collection, your digital photos are also at risk, right? So as a parting note, since we don't really have time, I will say that once you do scan in your photos, make sure that you have a backup copy of them. And you maybe have a backup copy of everything, all your important documents, but follow the 3-2-1 rule, which is 3 copies of your media or anything else in two different types of places. So on your computer and somewhere else, like an external hard drive, and then one offsite. So I like to use for all my digital needs, I like to use a service. I use Backblaze. So every time I'm in Wi-Fi, which is when I'm home every time, it's constantly backing up everything I have, anything new, and then I can retrieve it. And it's saved me more, probably 5 or 6 times, just because a computer crashes well, or a computer dying, mostly that, or an external hard drive just giving out. So once you digitize, make sure you have backed it up at least in one other place.
Awesome. One last one if you want.
Oh,
If not, we will just wrap it up.
oh, the complete name of the YouTube channel. Well, we both can give it. So I'll put it in the chat, but mine is youtube.com/@digyourphotos. I'll put it in here.
Awesome. And we of course send all the links in the recording. So all the links of Rhoda will be in the description of our YouTube recording and also in the email that we will send post the webinar. It was a pleasure, Rhoda, and thank you so much for your time and for your expertise and for helping all of us to preserve our memories. Yeah, it was great. Mary, if you have any final words, or Nicole or Rhoda, if you want to say.
Yeah, I just want to first thank you, Mickey. You've been a great partner here. I love it. And I think all the great things you're doing with PhotoMine, it just gets better and better every time that I check in with you. And I want to thank everyone for listening. I really hope that you got some tips and tricks and that you're going to, feel empowered to organize your own print photos because you are the best person to do it. You know the people, and also to scan your photos so you can create a backup and share digitally.
Thank you so much, Mary. Any?
No, just thank you guys for coming and supporting Rhoda and PhotoMine. And as a advocate for the photo managers, we're really excited about having this partnership, and we're really looking forward to upcoming webinars with some new topics and people talking about some great things for you guys. Don't forget to sign up for Save Your Photos Month. We included the link in the chat, and yeah, we hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks. Bye-bye.